David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety.
For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety.
For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety.
For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay.
14th. And there are 4 cases on the agenda, and I just asked Mr. Larrañaga if there are any other changes or amendments to this agenda.
Hearing Officer Aber, the only change as listed in the agenda is case number D, case number 23-5240 is being tabled today and will go on another agenda.
That's the Sayed variance, is that correct?
Hearing Officer Aber, yes.
Thank you. With that, we'll start with the first case, which is case number 23-5210. Jessica Gonzalez, thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Hearing Officer Aber. Jessica Gonzalez, Building and Development Review Specialist Senior with the Growth Management Division. Katarina B. Van Heisch, applicant through Eric P. Enfield, agent, requests a variance of SLDC 9.5.3.2.6, Table 9-5-5, Dimensional Standards TCD Res C to allow a residence to exceed 20 feet in height. The applicant is proposing a new single-family residence to be built at 26 feet in height. The property is within the Residential Community Zoning District within the Tesuque Valley Village overlay and located at 163 Tesuque Village Road within Section 25, Township 18 North, Range 9 East, Commission District 1, SDA 2. The applicant is proposing to construct a new 8,962 square foot residence on 1.58 acres. The current design of the proposed residence calls for the house to be constructed 26 feet in height. The site is zoned as residential community within the Tesuque Village Community District overlay. Table 9-5-5 Dimensional Standards TCD Res C illustrates that the maximum height of a dwelling within Res C zoning is 20 feet. The applicant states, the new residence we are proposing is currently designed to be 26 feet high above finished grade. We are requesting a height variance to the current allowable 20 feet height restriction per section 9-5-5 dimensional standards of the TCD Res C of the Santa Fe County Sustainable Land Development Code. The applicant has addressed the variance criteria and staff has responded to the applicant's comments. Building and Development Services staff reviewed the variance application for compliance with pertinent SLDC requirements and found that the facts presented do not support the request for a variance to allow the proposed residence to exceed the 20 feet height limitation. Specifically, staff found that there are no terrain issues that would prevent the design from meeting the code requirements. The site lends itself to enlarging the footprint. The applicant can wait until the TCD amendment is adopted, which may allow 24 feet in height, thus possibly avoiding the need for a variance entirely. Staff recommends denial of the requested variance of Table 9-5-5 Dimensional Standards TCD Res C to allow residents to exceed the height limitation of 20 feet. The applicant's request for a variance does not meet the criteria set forth in the SLDC for granting a variance. If the hearing officer finds that the variance request has met the variance criteria and recommends approval of the variance, staff recommends the following condition be imposed. Madam Hearing Officer Aber, may I enter these conditions into the record?
Yes, please.
Thank you. This report and exhibits listed below are hereby submitted as part of the hearing record. Staff requests the hearing officer memorialize findings of fact and conclusions of law in a written recommended order. The Santa Fe County Planning Commission may hold a public hearing on this matter on December 14th, 2023. Thank you. At this time, I stand for any questions.
Ms. Gonzalez, I just have a couple. I think you indicated that all of the notice requirements were met, the mailing, publication, and posting. Is that correct?
Hearing Officer Aber, that is correct.
And as far as the plans for this proposed house, is the entire house proposed to be 26 feet or just a portion of the house? Do you know?
Hearing Officer Aber, I do not know that.
There was some statements made, I believe, in the application that there was a house on this site that had been demolished. And was staff able to find any records of that house that had been demolished?
Hearing Officer Aber, there was no permit for demolition for the previous house.
Was there any permit for that house, the earlier house?
Hearing Officer Aber, I believe we looked at the records. There wasn't, we couldn't find any records for a permit for the house, but it may have been built pre-81, so it would be pre-code.
Hearing Officer Aber, Exhibit 3 shows a signed-off plat that does show the residence, and that's how we knew there was a residence there, but there was no demolition permit for that residence.
Okay, yes, that's the one I'd seen in my material. There is a provision in the code that the 20-foot limitation under circumstances could be eased an additional 2 feet. Is that correct? Where it could be 22 feet?
Hearing Officer Aber, they could, the applicant could request a deviation of that, and I believe that's 10%. So that would be approximately 2 feet, yes.
Would a deviation be treated in the same manner as a variance, or would that be something that staff could approve?
Hearing Officer Aber, that would be administrative approval.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. No other questions?
Thank you, Hearing Officer Aber.
And Hearing Officer Aber, just clarification, this case will be going to the Planning Commission on January 18th, 2024.
All right. Thank you. And hello, you're going to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I am, and the applicant's also here. And I'm sorry, all I know you as is the hearing officer.
Yes.
Do you have a name?
Marilyn Aber, H-E-B-E-R-T.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. I do too. Sure. Eric Infield, 612 Old Santa Fe Trail, Santa Fe, New Mexico. My company name is Architectural Alliance.
And my name is Jerry Barron, and I live at 163 Tesuque Village Road.
First, I want to thank you for hearing us today. I haven't been through the process of presenting in front of a hearing officer with the county yet, but I've done many other processes through the county. So I appreciate the help the staff has given us up to this point. What we're requesting is a variance to the height requirements of 20 feet from Table 955 of the Land Development Code to a proposed height of 26 feet above finished grade for the new single-family residence that we're proposing to build for Jerry Barron and Katerina von Heisch. The residence is 8,962 square feet of roofed area. The lot size is 1.585 acres. And we had attached existing and proposed site plans. We also attached elevations. And to answer your question, the whole house isn't 26 feet high. There are parts of it that are lower.
Do you have a percentage about?
I don't have a percentage. We weren't asked that question for this meeting, but we could do that. And maybe, Daniel, you could just take a quick look at it and let me know. Maybe we could have this.
Well, it's just rough. I mean, it would
Yeah.
be half of it would be one story and the other half would be two
Well,
stories.
the majority of the house is one story. Only a small section is 2-story. The spaces we're creating are monumental spaces, mainly having to do with the fact that we have recycled windows we'll be using. They're over 15 feet tall. And that kind of height requires them to be off the ground because they're actually old historic windows that the clients have retained for this new residence. The height variance, right now we could go to 22 feet. So we really are requesting a variance of 4 feet if you include the deviation. I just want to say that because I wasn't aware of the deviation until we met with staff and they informed us of that. I just want to say that we started the process on May 2nd when we met with John Lovato at the site for the pre-application TAC process. We then presented the case to the TAC team on June 15th. All their comments have been addressed with this package that we submitted to the county. We also had a neighborhood meeting on September 14th at the Tesuque Elementary School, and their meeting notes were included, and there was no one that had a problem with the height request. And I doubt you have any letters against us, but Jerry's going to speak to the people supporting us after I'm done talking. And I just wanted to go through these questions that we were asked and our answers real quick so you understand where we were coming from. Is the request contrary to the public interest? Well, the proposed residence replaced an existing 2-story house that was there. The building is 11 feet below Tasuki Village Road. So technically, it's only going to be 15 feet above the road surface in front of it because the site is 11 feet below the road. Also, it's 146 feet from the road right-of-way, so it's very far. And between it and the road right-of-way, I'm not saying these verbatim, I'm adding some text to it as I speak to you. And there's a very high solid wall that was permitted through the county, and also they've heavily treed the area around the front of the house. I think there will be minimal visual impact to the public of the house. I also want to say that the answer to the portion about whether it was extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions on the property, the strict application of the code would result in peculiar or exceptional practical differences or exceptional undue hardship on the owner. The hardship lies in the miscommunication between the Tasuki community and the Santa Fe County that resulted in the 20-foot height restriction being codified. It has taken 8 years at this point to have this one issue corrected because they were made aware of it. The county was made aware of it quite a long time ago that the Tasuki Planning Group actually recommended a 26-foot height recommendation, but somehow 20 foot was put in the code. The county commission approved these changes to the overlay district in September of 2022, which was to increase the height to, I believe, 24 feet, which would have allowed a 10% deviation, which means we wouldn't have to come forward to you, but it has not yet been entered into the code. It's in the process, and we've been told by city staff it's 75% of the way there. But my client's been waiting a long time for the height change, and it hasn't come yet. And I don't think it's yet scheduled for a vote by the commission. So we're not even sure when it actually will happen. The hardship, therefore, is having to abide by an erroneously applied rule while having to wait for it to be corrected, at which time this request for variance would not even be required. As the spirit of the Land Development Code is observed and substantial justice is done, the intent of the code is to prevent buildings from being built too high and to have minimum impact on the public view. The allowable height in the Land Development Code is 36 feet for agricultural buildings. So right now, my client could build a barn that was 36 feet high, but can't build his house up to the 26 feet. And all the residential buildings remain under the 20-foot rule. The proposed height of this project has minimal impact, mainly due to it being 11 feet below the roadway surface, so the visibility would be less than a two-story house. And also, once the code is amended, this variance wouldn't have been required, but my client has been waiting for 8 years and happens to also be on the Tasuki Development Group that worked with the county, and I'm going to let him address that portion of it. The one thing I did want to address was the county's answers, the staff response to ours. I agree that there is not a residence on this site now, and the structure on the chapel was permitted through the county, as were the walls. The previous house on the property has been demolished. Staff has searched for the demolition permit and has been unable to find it and has not located any permits yet. We have stamped drawings from CID with the county stamps on and signature approvals from the county officers at the time approving the chapel and also the walls, which we submitted to them, but they wanted to see the actual development permit. But my client says he was never given one. The CID permit was just stamped by the county. Further, they mentioned that the height is 6 feet, 30% higher than the maximum height. I think they're using the 20 foot, not the 22 foot. So that number actually, because they allow a deviation through staff, would be less than that. I also want to talk a little bit about the second question, and the staff response was the current height requirements were established in 2016, which is the 20 foot. since all development within the TCD has had to comply with these requirements. Now, that's not exactly true because there was a case that was presented in front of the county that was exactly the same case as we're presenting right now, and that case number was 185170, and it was the exact same request to go from 20 to 26 feet. That was sent to the commission and it was approved with a 7-0 vote. So there has been deviation from this code in the Tesuque Valley with the county's support and the commission's positive vote. That was one of the reasons that we felt we'd pursue the variance. We didn't know how long it would take to codify this, and the client's been waiting 8 years to be able to do this and is ready to do his main house. I've worked on the property myself for over 10 years. It's a beautiful property. It is unique. It is different. I'm not sure you had a chance to go to the property or view the property.
No, I ordinarily don't do that.
Really? It's the one with all the river rock. The walls are all made of river rock. It's just beautiful. They're creating their space in Tesuque. And it's,
where is that wall? Where is the wall?
It's right along Tesuque Village Road.
Okay.
And it's the only wall that's all rock wall, and there's 2 different wrought iron gates. So it's not like you can't see into the property. The gates are transparent and you can look through the gates. So they're not hiding anything, but they like the height because they like their privacy. And it actually helps us because if you add the fact that we're 11 feet down and there's an 8-foot wall on the property, you can see how little visibility there will be for the house. I'm not saying that the answers from the county are wrong. I'm saying that I could also look at them differently. And I hope you as a hearing officer will support this request because I think it's reasonable and I think our clients have been waiting a long time to build their final home. And I want Jerry to talk about the process because he's been involved the whole time.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
So, Jerry, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to meet this afternoon. I don't really have all that much to say except that one of the reasons that I became part of the Tesuque Valley Community Association. I'm one of the board of the directors now. Is to correct this problem that we uncovered when we built our guest house in 2016. Because we originally had planned to make and designed a 22-foot guest house, and over that winter between 2015 and 2016 is when the changes in the Tesuque overlay happened, and we suddenly had to change our house to go from 22 feet to 20 feet. And when I started looking into why this had happened, it turned out that the Tesuque Planning Committee had approved a new overlay in 2013, and that overlay had somehow been changed from 26 feet to 20 feet. Everyone that I talked to said that this was a mistake, and the Tesuque Community Plan from 2013 on page 34 called for a 26-foot height limit. My understanding from everybody on the Tesuque Planning Committee was that the code was supposed to be adopted exactly as the committee had specified. Nobody could explain to me why it had been changed on the county side. Nobody could explain to me why it had been changed from 26 feet to 20 feet. There was no documentation of this change. There was the only thing that was documented was that it all of a sudden was 20 feet. Everybody that I've spoken to, when they've been frank about it, has called it a typo. Obviously, once something like that is codified, it's not easy to change or fix. And that's one of the reasons that I became part of the Tasuki Planning Committee for the latest overlay, is to try and make sure that these sorts of things don't happen. And that's why one of the changes now is going to be to adhere to the county-wide 24-foot height restriction. And I think that the only reason that it was 24 feet is everybody just wanted to make it simple and adhere to what it was countywide. We also have a letter from the Tasuka Valley Community Association Land Use Committee from the contact person, Margot Cutler, there. I don't know if you mind if I read this letter out loud.
No, I don't think I have it in my packet.
Okay.
You don't?
I don't. Okay.
I'm surprised it was submitted.
So we actually have two letters from members of the TVCA, one of which describe the history of this exact issue which I just described to you, and this one from Margot, where they state that they have no objection to the 26-foot height, and that they just briefly, I'm so sorry. This one here?
This is probably, well, you know, the letter was submitted with a package, so it actually should be with the package. But
I do have a letter from Joyce, I think your neighbor, Williams?
Yes.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah, she's my neighbor across the street. All right, so let's see. They're basically supporting our variance, and briefly the reasoning being that the 20-foot height limitation in the SLDC appears to be a mistake. The mistake will likely be corrected to 24 feet in the upcoming change to the code. The minor deviation section would then seem to allow county staff to administratively approve the request. Our neighbors are supportive, and the landowners, meaning us, have taken measures to block the view of the house from the road. So,
Mr. Barron, could I ask you a question? Are you aware of any opposition in your area to this height?
No. We've talked to literally all of the neighbors around us. There are 3 houses that border directly on our property line that are taller than 20 feet, taller than 22 feet even.
one of them I did.
And you know, we had our public meeting. We talked to everybody there. There's not a single person, like people didn't like our wall, people didn't like other things about, what we've done at the house. Nobody had any problem whatsoever with the height of the house.
And those meeting notes, those minutes from the public meeting should be in there because we took really comprehensive notes.
Yes, I believe they are.
Okay. Those would be good to look at too. Is there anything else you wanted to add? We just stand for questions then, ma'am, if you have any.
No, I believe you've answered my questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does staff want to add anything after the applicant's statements?
Hearing Officer Aber, just for clarification, the Tasuka Village Community District Amendment was brought to the Board of County Commissioners this last Tuesday to publish title and general summary. And then it would still have to come forward to the hearing officer, then to the Planning Commission, and ultimately the BCC to get approved. So it's on its journey to get approved in this, and one of the issues is a 24-foot height. The second
Which
is...
one is going to happen first, I wonder? So we're talking a couple of months here?
At least 3 months, 3 or 4 months, yes, before it gets approved. If that's the way they're going to approve, the Board of County Commissioners is going to approve it. Secondly, on the deviation, that's an application when they come in for a permit to allow the increase in height, and that's up to the land use administrator. Yes, it could be done administratively, But that's completely up to the land use administrator. We would have to maybe get some story poles out there to see what 26 feet looks like from the roadway or other major roadways. And so it's not a given that we're going to give that deviation to any application. And then lastly, the letter from Marco Cutler was submitted to staff yesterday, and it is on board docs. One of the issues, and I know you can't access the PC here, and it was just an error not putting it into your paper copy that we supplied for you.
Would you see that it gets into the record?
Yes, we could definitely get that into the record.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, so just to kind of let me be clear about this. Even if the rule is amended to allow 24 feet rather than 20 feet, in order to get to the 26, they'd still have to come in for a deviation, even if the new rule is approved.
Hearing Officer Aber, yes, that's correct. And again, emphasis that deviations are on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to this application? If not, I'll have a written recommended order on this matter within 15 business days. So thank you for your attendance.
I guess nobody wanted to speak.
The next item on the agenda is case 23-5200, Todd and Susan Handy, variance. And if staff would present this case.
Hearing Officer Aber, Maggie Valdez is the case manager, but I am going to be presenting this case.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Larnyaga.
Yes. Todd and Susan Handy applicants request a variance of Table 7-A to allow an existing accessory structure to encroach onto the required setback. The property is within the residential estate zoning district. Table 7-A illustrates that the setback in Res E is 25 feet from the sides and the rear of the parcel and 10 feet from the front of the parcel. The site is located at 3 Conchas Court within Township 15 North, Range 10 East, Section 8, Commission District 5. The applicant started construction of a 400 square foot accessory structure on or around June of 2023 without obtaining a development permit from Santa Fe County. On June 15, 2023, a Santa Fe County Code Enforcement Inspector issued a notice of violation. The structure does not meet the setback requirements outlined in the Sustainable Land Development Code. The applicants are requesting a variance of Table 7-A to allow a 20-foot by 20-foot existing accessory structure to encroach on the required 25-foot setback. The property lies within the residential estate zoning district within the El Dorado subdivision. The site plan illustrates that the accessory structure is encroaching slightly onto a 10-foot utility easement, which was created with the recorded plat. The applicants state, I have requested a variance and setbacks approval that would make reasonable use of the land for the location and screening with existing mature trees of the large accessory structure. The location of the easement and setbacks are on flat land and are ideal for a large accessory structure built 15 feet from the home. The large accessory structure does not block any mountain views or interfere with natural vegetation. If the utility easement and setback variance for the large accessory structure are not approved and we had to tear it down, would create a financial and timelessness of completing the building of the large accessory structure hardship, not only to Todd and I, but also to our contractor. We do not want to tear down the large accessory structure or severely trim back our mature trees to build the large accessory structure. Additionally, these trees will act to screen the structure. Secondly, there is a need to provide access to read the utility meters which are on the in the area between the home and the large accessory structure. The septic tank and leach field are on the south side of our home. The backyard fence is on the east side. The west side is the front of our home. The distance between the front of the home and the street is too short to place a large accessory structure. Table 7-A illustrates that the setbacks are 10 feet from the front property boundary and 25 feet from the sides and rear of the property boundary within the Res E zoning district. The accessory structure encroaches onto the required 25-foot setback of the property. The applicant has addressed the variance criteria, and staff has commented on their response. Building and Development Services staff reviewed the variance application for compliance with pertinent SLDC requirements and found that the facts presented do not support the request for a variance to allow the accessory structure to encroach into the required setback. Specifically, staff found that there are other buildable areas on the property. The structure was constructed without permits. If the applicants would have consulted with staff prior to building the structure, staff would have advised the applicants of the setback requirements, thus avoiding this situation entirely. Staff recommends denial of the variance request to allow an existing unpermitted accessory structure to encroach into the required 25-foot setback. The applicant's request for a variance does not meet the standards set forth in the SLDC. The hearing officer finds that the variance, if the hearing officer finds that the variance request has met the variance criteria and finds that the variance request is a minimal easing and recommends approval of the variance to allow an existing accessory structure to encroach into the required 25-foot setback, staff recommends the following condition. Condition is the applicant shall obtain a development permit for the construction of the existing structure. This report and the exhibits listed below are hereby submitted as part of the hearing record. Staff requests the hearing officer memorialize findings of fact and conclusions of law in a written recommended order. The Santa Fe County Planning Commission may be holding a public hearing on this matter on January 18, 2024. Hearing Officer Hebert, I stand for any questions.
Mr. Larrañaga, I think I saw in the staff report that the notice requirements for this matter were met. Is that your understanding?
In here.
Which requirements did you reference?
Notice requirements, the posting, publication, mailing.
Yes, this application was noticed correctly with through the New Mexican 15 days prior to this hearing, and letters were sent out to the joiners within 500 feet, and the notice was posted. The poster board wasn't posted for 15 days also.
And are you aware how much of this structure actually encroaches into the setback area? Is it 10%, 50%, all of it?
I believe the current setback from the property line is 9 feet. There's a 10-foot utility easement on each one of those lots in El Dorado, not just on this lot, that goes all around the property line. The applicant did get a letter from El Dorado Water saying that they're not utilizing that easement. Their water line goes through the street. So there's not any utilities going through there. It's just when the plat got platted for the subdivision of El Dorado, they created that 10-foot easement. And so it encroaches approximately 1 foot onto that easement, so 16 feet into the 25-foot setback.
Okay. So that's significant. It's
Yes.
significant encroachment. Okay. And do you know, I can ask the applicant, but is it on a concrete foundation?
Hearing Officer Hebert, I believe it is on a concrete foundation. It is framed, and it was almost finished before when code enforcement cited him.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you. And if the applicant would like to speak to the application?
We need to swear to the lady. I do. Todd Handy, Free Conscious Court, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87508.
Susan Handy, Free Conscious Court, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 8750.
And Mr. Handy, if you would like to add anything to
Well,
the application or
Can I make,
highlight?
we need to clarify a couple things. The picture on the cover is a aerial photo from the Santa Fe County parcel, to the area where you see the white diagonal building. That is the shed that's being replaced. That is not the shed that's currently built. It's been that one's been removed and out of sight. So these pictures don't represent where it's placed. A larger picture will show that the new shed is now perpendicular to the building, and basically take that picture and design it. There is a
Mr., could I just interrupt you for a minute? I'm confused already. I'm looking at that aerial view, and are you saying that the structure that has site indicating?
This structure here.
I can't see from that
The diagonal structure is not the structure that they're citing. That is the structure that was there. It's being replaced. There is currently a structure that they put a ticket on us and stopped building. So basically, your picture here is incomplete.
So this picture does not show the current
Yes.
shed?
Correct.
Okay.
And it doesn't diffuse their argument either, though. But take the white little shed that's diagonal to the house.
Yes.
Rotate it roughly 30 degrees, and the shed now is perpendicular to the house further in. That being said, the shed itself that is pictured is 12 feet. And if you measure the 12 feet and go up there, according to the tax parcel, the shrubbery is 16 feet from the property line. So we have a dispute here on what the distance is in that regard. And with the snow weather and stuff, our caseworker couldn't come out and verify this.
Excuse me, so you don't know how far the shed in question is from your property line? As you don't know how far that is?
Based on the bigger picture of this one here, it's at least 16 feet based on the measurements of the picture on the assessor's website. We measured the shed that's currently there, it's 12 feet. Then I used that scale to measure the shrubbery from the property line, and it's 16 feet.
But you haven't just gone out and measured from the shed to the property line?
We cannot cite the property line with all the shrubbery in between. We cannot run a 200-foot line because the first point is over here on the corner and the other one is 200 feet on the other side of our property. We cannot get through all that shrubbery with a tape measure or any kind of cordage.
Okay.
But based on what's on the website, the county website, it's at least 16 feet from the edge. And we submitted a larger copy, in other words, the copy I'm holding here, to our caseworker. It's not in the packet, so it's going to be hard for you to compare.
I do have another aerial that does not have the white outlining.
Does it look like
It
this?
actually looks very much like the one we were just talking about. It still has the diagonal shed.
Okay.
And you're saying that the new shed is parallel.
No, rotate that diagonal shed to make it parallel to the house, and then that's where the bigger shed is.
Right.
And that diagonal one is moved. That's the replacement place. That's 100 square feet. It's a 12 by 8, 12 and a half by 8. Like I said, you rotate it. So if you measure that as 12 feet, and you measure the similar area to the trees, the shrubs there you see, that's 16 feet. That's only particularly to this picture.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add to your
Well, a
application?
couple things in regards to the postings. We did all the postings. We also went to several of our neighbors and got a statement from them saying they have no issues with it. 1, 5, and 4 are lots, Koch. They all signed, said we like it, we don't have a problem with it. Should have been in the packet. They were submitted to our caseworker as well.
So as I understand it from reviewing the packet, the El Dorado Association does not object to this site.
No, they approved this and they understand. They rejected any other possibility. In other words, we got very good suggestions. Obviously, we can't do the front. The south is septic system, and then the backyard is 4,000 square feet. They want any additions to constructions to be shielded. And thus, we chose the most green tree areas that we have around there. But several of these trees are 20 feet tall, and some are still growing bigger. And whatever, we found a new pine tree directly to the left on the west side as well. So their impetus was limiting the impact both visually to any views as well as to the neighborhood impact. And the big thing they also noted was on the north side there, where the brighter green tree, we have both our gas meter and our electric meter needs access, so we couldn't bring it in too much closer. This will also be connected under ECI rules either by a portal or a fence, because any accessory building or such at that nature has to be attached.
It will be attached to your home?
A fence or a portal, whichever we decide to do at the time, how much money is left, but we will meet their standard.
But it's attaching this shed to your house?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything?
I mean,
That's pretty much it. I think we've given all the facts, so, yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's a couple pieces that appears in the packet missing. If you could get a bigger copy, you could understand what I'm trying to say. There's this little one, and actually where the black line is marking, it's attached to what we call our tool shed. That's where all the yard work equipment and stuff is stored. It goes to where the white diagonal.
Yes.
That's being replaced.
Okay, so neither one of those two small structures are there?
No, they're there. The small structures are still there, but the white one has been moved for storage. But this one's going in that site right there where you see a swing, a fire pit, and the back part of my pickup truck. So there's all kinds of little accessories there. They're all gone. But it's being placed in the same place virtually.
Yes.
And it is not a structure with a concrete base. It is one of those, we got it from Lowe's. It has a steel foundation with plywood, and it's sitting on it, and it's made out of plastic.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does staff have any comment to these remarks?
Hearing Officer Aber, yes, and I apologize, this should have been placed in some of the exhibits, but this is a drawing that was submitted by the applicant. It doesn't say who was drawn, who drew it up, but it illustrates the structure within that 10-foot utility easement and within the required 25-foot county easement for Res E. So this might clarify, it doesn't say who drew it up, but Roger's passing that out now.
Thanks, Roger. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
If we could.
If there are no other comments, then I will consider this matter and issue a recommended order within 15 business days.
Hearing Officer Aber, don't know if you want to ask if anybody's online.
Oh, I'm sorry, of course. And in addition to that, did staff receive any comments on this case?
Hearing Officer Aber, written comments, no.
All right. Is there anyone online? I can't tell.
Doesn't seem like anyone's online that's wishing to speak.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your attendance. Pardon me, I couldn't hear you.
Regards to submittal for comments and stuff, there were two major significant property adjacent to ECIA. They own the common grounds around us, and they're the ones that approved the shed. ECI is immediately adjacent to us to the east, and we're in 500 square feet to the green belt to the northwest. And we've talked to them continuously, and there was no, we met their standards.
Okay, thank you. At this time, the next matter on the agenda is, it doesn't seem to have a case number. It's listed as NM 5066, substantial modification conditional use permit, and I believe the applicant is Vertical Bridge.
Thank you, hearing officer. Manuel Ryan Olivas, Development Review Specialist Senior,
Mr.
Building
Olivas,
and...
Excuse me, before we get started, why does this have NM 5066 instead of a ordinary case number?
Hearing officer, that's how they were presenting at our technical advisory committee meeting, so that's what I titled the case, and the case number is 23-5220.
23-5. Is that on your report? Oh, it is, 5220. Thank you, I'm sorry.
Vertical Bridge, Romano and Associates LLC, applicants, Jonathan Owen, agent, requests approval of a conditional use permit to allow a substantial modification to construct a 120-foot tower and install equipment within a 75-foot by 75-foot leased area. The 40-acre site is within the Rural Zoning District, Table 10-3. Wireless communications facility height limitations by zoning district allows for a new tower to be 120 feet in height within the rural zoning district. Appendix B, use matrix, illustrates that a substantial modification within the rural zoning district. Appendix B, use matrix, illustrates that a substantial modification within the rural zoning district is a conditional use permit. The site takes access via 1081 NM 344 within Township 11 North, Range 7 East, Section 11, SDA 2, Commission District 3. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow a new 120-foot monopole and installation of the ground equipment within the proposed 75-foot by 75-foot leased area. The 40-acre parcel is zoned rural. Appendix B of the Sustainable Land Development Code states that a substantial modification within the rural zoning district is a conditional use. The applicant states the 120-foot tall monopole will allow the deployment of advanced wireless broadband technologies and equipment to provide needed enhancement to the coverage and network capacity in the immediate vicinity, since it can no longer be served adequately from neighboring sites which are located more than 5 miles away. Effectively, there is no significant wireless infrastructure between I-40 to the south and I-25 to the north. The proposed facility will provide much needed coverage enhancement and will also allow for multiple users to utilize the same facility to offer their services in this underserved part of Santa Fe County. The applicant has addressed the conditional use criteria and staff has responded to the applicant's comments. The applicant addressed and staff reviewed for the applicable design standards as per Chapter 7. Building and Development Services staff has reviewed this project for compliance with pertinent SLDC requirements and has found that the facts presented support the request for a conditional use permit to construct a monopole 120 feet in height. The facility meets the purpose and intent outlined in Section 10.17.2 of the SLDC. The use structure will not impact adjacent land uses, and the application satisfied the submittal requirements set forth in the SLDC, inclusive of the conditional use criteria set forth in Section 4.9.6.5. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit to allow a substantial modification to construct a monopole 120 feet in height within a 75-foot by 75-foot leased area to be located at 1081 NM 344, subject to the following conditions. Hearing officer, may I enter these conditions into the record?
Yes, please.
This report and the exhibits listed below are hereby submitted as part of the hearing record. Staff requests the hearing officer memorialize findings of fact and conclusions of law in a written order. The Santa Fe County Planning Commission may be holding a public hearing on this matter on February 15th, 2023. Hearing officer, I stand for any questions.
I have a couple of questions for you. Who is the owner of this leased property? Do you know?
The owner of the property is SDT LLC.
And do you know how long the lease is for the tower, for this property?
Hearing officer, I'm just going through the exhibits right now.
I don't think I saw a lease on it in the documents I have. I guess it gets to what my real question is what does the county do with these telecommunication poles? They don't last forever. Is there some plan for them to be decommissioned or deconstructed, or are we just going to live in a world where we just have old towers everywhere? Is there any plan as far as what happens when these are no longer usable?
Hearing officer Aber, the ordinance in section 10 under the cell tower requirements does call out for a decommissioning plan. That would be stated or written into the final CUP that gets recorded, the site plan for this. Again, you're correct. I don't know how we would follow up on that, but it will be a condition of approval onto the site development plan that's going to be recorded.
Okay. So it'll be recorded on the plan.
Yes. Again, another clarification, this case would be going to the Planning Commission February 15, 2024.
Mr. Olivis, why is this referred to as a substantial modification? It seems to me as if it's a pretty straightforward request for a conditional use permit.
Hearing officer, per our permit codes, there's minor modifications and substantial modifications. In this case, this is going to be a new wireless communications facility.
So anything that comes in as a CUP is going to be a substantial modification, is that correct?
Yes, hearing officer.
Okay. Thank you. All those are the only questions I have. And as far as you're satisfied that there is no possibility that this tower could fall outside of the leased area, is that correct?
The applicants, they address the fall zone and they meet the standards.
Hearing Officer Aber, just for clarification again, I believe the monopole can fall out of the leased area, but it can't, the fall zone is 120 feet, the height of the monopole, and then you have this fall zone is 120 feet. So I believe the leased area is 40 by 40?
75 by 75?
75 by 75. So it is gonna, if it falls, it is gonna fall outside of the leased area. And just as long as it meets the fall zone, that it doesn't fall onto a home or electric line or telephone pole. So it,
okay.
yes.
Also, hearing officer, the setback that they are proposing, it's going to be 250 feet from adjacent properties. So it's well beyond the standards or the requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Olivis. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of this?
Yes. Jonathan Owen, 6117 Acacia Street Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87120. Thank you. And thank you for your time and attention to this. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I hate to oversimplify it, but we're requesting a conditional use permit for the 120-foot monopole with a 75 by 75-foot ground space. I think Mr. Olivas outlined most of the details, but if you have some additional questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I do have a question. On page 14 of your application, you made a reference to a stealth facility. And I don't know what that is. What is a stealth facility?
A stealth facility is like a camouflaged facility. So if you see like the fake trees that are cell towers, or like a steeple on a church that has been converted to a cell tower, that would be considered camouflaged or stealth.
I see, okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, the stealth requirements don't allow us to go above like 30 or 40 feet in this particular zoning district.
Okay.
Which would significantly reduce broadcast ability for the cell tower equipment for any of the carriers.
Mr. Owen, are there any contracts for these co-locations for this tower at this time, or is this just kind of being built on spec?
No, the anchor tenant is T-Mobile at this point, and we have sent letters to all the major carriers informing them of this potential new wireless facility so that they could co-locate as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And do you know what more or less the lifespan of these towers is?
Oh, well beyond 50 years, which is what the lease is with our the landlord. And it will be maintained and modified throughout that 50-year time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And one final area that I was a little confused about, because I saw references as far as to the power. It refers to a propane generator and then also diesel. So is the diesel just the backup generator?
Yeah, there is a proposed diesel generator. I think it's don't have a propane one yet.
I think there was a reference in the TAC report to a propane generator.
Yeah, there's a 48 kilowatt diesel generator that's proposed right now, and that'll go on its own pad within the compound. And most carriers also have battery backup as well, so some redundant power backup.
I see. How often do people go out and check on these?
Service could be as infrequent as, every 6 months, but if there were technicians or personnel on site once a month, I wouldn't be surprised. Especially with multiple carriers, activity will increase.
How many carriers could there be with all those different panels?
The tower was designed to accommodate up to 4 carriers, and the ground space would allow for that as well. Other emergency services could also co-locate on the tower itself, so emergency 911 for fire and rescue, but 4 major carriers could co-locate on the tower.
Well, those are all the questions I have. I had never had one of these cases, and I really thought this was a big mystery, so much of it, but thank you for your answers.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
And does staff any comments to this?
Hearing Officer Aber, no further comments.
Okay, and again, this matter is closed, and I'll submit a recommended order within 15 business days. Thank you.
Okay. And then there's another hearing on the 15th of February, is that correct?
Yes, we will give you notice for that. You'll have to renotice for the Planning Commission. That's the final decision.
Okay, I'll work with Ryan on that, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you. The final case on the agenda today is case 235230, CC Love Buds, and I believe that's Linda Cassell, and it's a request for a CUP.
I do. Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer Aber. Dominic J. Cisneros, Building and Development Team Leader with Growth Management Division. CC Love Buds LLC applicant, Santa Fe Permits agent requests approval of a conditional use permit to allow a cannabis producer microbusiness that will cultivate cannabis plants outdoors. Section 10.22.3.4 of the Sustainable Land Development Code states that a cannabis producer or cannabis producer microbusiness that cultivates cannabis plant outdoors shall be a conditional use in all rural fringe, rural residential, residential fringe, and traditional community zoning districts. The 2.513 acre site is within the San Marcos Community District overlay and is zoned rural residential. The site is located at 66 Arroyo Coyote Road, SDA 2 within Section 35, Township 15 North, Range 8 East, Commission District 5. The applicant requests approval of a conditional use permit to allow a cannabis producer microbusiness to cultivate cannabis plants outdoors. The 2.513 acre site is zoned rural residential within the San Marcos Community District overlay. Ordinance 2021-03 states that a cannabis producer or cannabis producer microbusiness that cultivates cannabis plants outdoors is a conditional use within the rural residential zoning district. The applicant has obtained a New Mexico cannabis producer microbusiness license, which would allow for a cannabis producer at a single licensed premises to possess no more than 200 total mature cannabis plants at any one time. The proposed grow site will have an area of 18 by 18 with 50 plants and is located on the west side of the property, south of the existing residence. Access to the site is provided via a 25-foot access and utility easement that runs across the northern property of the 2.513 acre property. Arroyo Coyote Road is dirt, gravel, and privately maintained. The proximity to New Mexico 14 is approximately 0.63 miles. The drying of the cannabis will occur in the basement of the existing residence. The applicant currently has a contract from the Entranosa Water Association to haul in water to use in the cultivation of the plants. The applicant will use a local hauler to transport water and is expected to use approximately 21,000 gallons of water per year at full maturity. The applicant has addressed the variance criteria, and staff has responded to the applicant's comments. Building and Development Services staff has reviewed this project for compliance with pertinent SLDC requirements and ordinance number 2021-03 and has found that the facts presented supported the request for a conditional use permit to allow a 324 square foot area for the purpose of producing cannabis. The use is compatible with the current development within the affected zoning district. The use will not impact adjacent land uses, and the application satisfies the submittal requirements set forth in the SLDC, inclusive of the conditional use criteria set forth in Chapter 4, Section 4.9.6.5. The review comments from the State Historic Preservation Office and county staff have established findings that the application to allow a 324 square foot area to cultivate cannabis plants outdoors is in compliance with the state requirements, ordinance number 2021-03, and pertinent design standards set forth in the SLDC. Staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit to allow a 320 square foot area for the purpose of producing cannabis outdoors and to utilize the basement of the existing residence for the purpose of drying cannabis after harvest, subject to the following conditions. If the hearing officer finds that the application has met the conditional use permit criteria and recommends approval, staff suggests the following conditions be imposed. Madam Hearing Officer, may I enter these conditions into the record?
Yes, Mr. Cisneros.
This report and the exhibits listed below are hereby submitted as a part of the hearing record. Staff requests the hearing officer memorialize findings of fact and conclusion of law in the written recommended order. The Santa Fe County Planning Commission may be holding public hearing on this matter on January 18th, 2024. Thank you. At this time, I stand for any questions.
It looks as if they've met every condition that's required. I do want to know if there was any public comment that you received regarding this application.
Madam Hearing Officer Aber, at this time, I have not received any comments via mail or email.
And I did note in your report that the required publication and mailing and notice was made. Is that correct, of the notice?
That is correct. All noticing requirements have been met by the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros.
Thank you.
At this time, does the applicant want to come and make any other comment on their application?
Jennifer Salambini, P.O. Box 29424, Santa Fe, New Mexico 87507.
Linda Castle, 66 Arroyo Coyote
Road. Okay. As Dominic mentioned, we have met all the requirements, and I just wanted to briefly state that this is a small seasonal operation similar to a garden. CC Love Buds was granted a license from the state of New Mexico, and the proposed grow area will be outdoors, and even though she's allowed 200 plants, she's only doing 50. It is not, the grow area will not be around a school or any sensitive area, and you cannot see it from the road. It's tucked away behind the residence. And the season is from mid-May to October, and there will not be any distribution processing on site. And Linda and I stand for any questions.
Really, the only question I had was about the fencing. I was just curious. It appears it's going to be a 6-foot fence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it a wire fence or a wooden fence?
It'll be a wire fence, just around the growing area. My property is fenced.
Okay.
But for the growing area, it would be 6-foot wire.
And will that be secured in any way, or just the fence?
There'll be security cameras.
Okay. Have you received any comments from your neighbors about
Just
this?
positive comments saying they supported my project.
Okay. Well, I don't have any other questions. Does staff have any questions of the applicant?
Hearing Officer Aber, just one comment that the state requires the security fencing and security cameras. The county does not, so that's why they have to build the fence and have security. Also, we do have individuals that want to speak on this case online.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is anyone in the room that wants to speak to this matter? Okay.
Hearing Officer Aber, so online we have Joaquin.
Sir.
Go ahead. You'll need to be sworn in.
Joaquin, do you swear or affirm that your testimony will be the truth?
Yep.
You know, could you please state your full name and your address and affirm that you're under oath for us? Oh, there you are.
Joaquin Emilio Romero, 97A Arroyo Coyote Road, 87508, and I have affirmed that my testimony will be true.
Mr. Romero, go ahead and make your comments. I can't find you on my screen, so I'll just be listening to you.
My apologies, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to testify on this matter. That I've heard nothing but good things about my neighbor, Ms. Castle, and I wish to.
I think we've lost you. Just a moment. Is anyone else hearing him? Matt, we're not hearing him. Mr. Romero, can you hear me? You can?
Yes, I can hear you, Madam Chair.
Okay, now I can hear you. Thank you. Continue. Would you repeat what you just said? We couldn't hear you.
Yes, of course, Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to testify today. Things of Ms. Castle, I've never had a chance to meet her personally. You know, wish to impart no ill will towards her or her small business.
It's cutting out again. We can't hear you. Mr. Romero, okay, try again, but if this is not going to happen, could you just please direct your comments in writing to the staff, and then we can incorporate that into the record, because we do want your comments. It's just this keeps breaking up. And I would ask Mr. Larrañaga to tell you who and the address, if you'd give him that information.
My apologies, I'm calling you from work right now. I will submit those comments online or via email regarding this matter if the audio is not working correctly.
Well, it's working right now, so go on and try to make this again, but if not, I suggest you contact us by mail. Thank you.
We also recommend maybe turning off the camera on his side.
Oh, did you hear that? If you turn off the camera, okay. There we go.
Let's see if that works. Okay. I just wanted to quickly express, you know, you know, we are issue with the legal consumption or growing of cannabis, but I do have concerns regarding the health and safety of our community. I would like to get a timeline on that fence. The installation neighborhood has had issues with criminal activity. Not a half mile from residents in question, just recently sold after a number of years regarding criminal things that happened there. There was there's been a SWAT raid, and our neighborhood has become known within the criminal community as a place of worry that further criminal activity on our road, already in question or by the legitimate business owners, but by those who wish to exploit their crop. I also have concerns about road congestion. So, where the property is located, noted, narrow our private road down to essentially a one-lane road.
Mr. Romero, this just keeps breaking up. I really would appreciate if you would put your concerns in writing and send them to the county land use department. But I appreciate your concerns, and they did, Ms. Cassels did testify that it would be a 6-foot-high fence, and it will have to be in place before, before she has any of the plants in the ground. If there's no one else, is that the only person online?
There's another individual online, but it doesn't seem they want to, like, if they want to speak, so.
Okay, but Mr. Romero, just so you know, I did get your concerns, that you're concerned about the health and safety of your neighborhood, and that you're concerned there's been increased criminal activity, and that there's a possibility of road congestion, and I would appreciate for you sending us something that would more fully address those issues. But thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to make any comments at this time?
Madam Hearing Officer Abear, I just wanted to address the comment about the 6-foot-tall fence, and just wanted to let you and Mr. Romero know that a fence of 6 feet tall and below does not require a development permit with Santa Fe County, so she will not be required to obtain a development permit for that fence.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros. Okay.
I just wanted to address the road congestion question. There will not be any additional traffic. Linda lives on site, and she'll be the only one there. So it will not
only be when the water is delivered. Do you have an approximate number of times there will be water deliveries?
once a month.
Once a month?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any comments on this application? Well, I see no other people wanting to comment. Again, I'll have a written recommended order in 15 business days. Thank you for attending. And if there's nothing else, I believe we're done with the agenda for today.
Yes, Hearing Officer Aber, thank you.
Thank you. This meeting's adjourned.